If you don't believe in aliens, this will make you believe in aliens.
This might have been a quote-unquote message for our generation that was left behind by extraterrestrials who visited our ancestors in the remote past.
One of the most common rebuttals I always hear from from non-believers is that why do alien incidents only happen in the States or in North America? Look at this. This happened in what, Brazil? Let me see. Where is Colares? In Portugal. Is Portugal in North America? Sorry guys, I'm an ignorant, uneducated Westerner. Yes, it's not in North America, but there's this channel called Red Panda Koala. They have just like a whole library of alien stuff, but they have this really interesting video on this case that happened in Colares. We're gonna watch the first video. It's a 3-part series, but let's just watch it. And if this doesn't convince you, I don't know what will, man. I'm just kidding. Keep watching more of my alien videos because I am gonna convince you. I'm gonna turn you into an alien believer.
A majority of the time when people see a UFO, there is a prosaic explanation. In the rare times when something truly anomalous occurs, the experience is usually witnessed by a few people, with little to no corroborating evidence. And these people would have a difficult time convincing others of their experience.
That being said, the fact that this happened in a village and to all these villagers is mind-blowing, because it's a little different from happening to one person and then him reporting on it, because then he just looks nuts. But if this happened to an entire village and they all said this happened, something must have happened, you know?
Even rarer are anomalous experiences that occur amongst multiple people within the military, in which the anomalies were tracked or observed with technology not available to average citizens, and with military testimonies that add a level of credibility to the occurrence. Between 1977 and 1978, the region surrounding Colares, Brazil, experienced a wave of strange UFO sightings that were witnessed by hundreds of people, to the point where the Brazilian military was called out to investigate, with some assistance from the United States. The military investigators would also have their own anomalous experiences with these UFOs and record them in official military documents.
This is interesting. I wonder what happens.
The events surrounding the Colares UFO flap are quite remarkable, given the number of civilian and military witnesses, and the fact that there are hundreds of pages of documentation and photographs surrounding the events, many of which were declassified for public consumption. As fascinating as this case is, given all of the corroborating sources, it is also quite disturbing. The UFOs in Colares were not just simply observed flying at a distance, they tormented people. Multiple people would be injured by these UFOs, seemingly on purpose.
Before watching this video, I always thought like maybe these guys were friendly. Like maybe they came down from, the stars and they're just observing us and like maybe they were trying to help us. But no, these motherfuckers are going crazy.
And a few would die as a result of these UFOs. So, let's
die? I don't remember them dying. Damn.
Look into the events surrounding Colares.
Yeah, I've already watched this, but this is so interesting. I watched this like 6 months back. Interesting as hell.
As part of this program, we looked at some cases that were really good from Brazil, 77, 78. It was like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. 1,000 pages of documents, all done by the Brazilian Air Force investigative team. 500 photographs, 15 hours of motion film. A lot of medical injuries.
We were quoted as saying people have died from, it was, I don't know which you were referencing at that time.
Colares, Brazil.
Tá? E ficou conhecido na época como chupa-chupa.
Okay, so basically he goes to the backstory, or kind of the reportings on it.
Far away from the politics of the big cities like Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo was the small fishing community of Colares, Brazil, situated near the mouth of the Amazon in the northern Brazilian state of Pará. This small town had roughly 2,000 inhabitants. The city had one church, one priest, one school, one physician, and was about 60 miles away from the nearest large city of Belém. A majority of the local economy in Colares was related to fishing, which was the most common occupation of the townsfolk. The people of Colares enjoyed a peaceful, tranquil life, and nothing newsworthy ever really happened there. That would change when the UFOs began appearing in August of 1977. Initially, the first reported sightings of UFOs in Colares were from fishermen returning to shore after work. They reported seeing luminescent orbs flying towards the shore from the sea. These orbs were multiple different colors, ranging from red, orange, yellow, blue, and green.
This does make me think though. Why are they targeting like this small remote village? But maybe also that because it's a small remote village that makes it the perfect target.
Other UFOs that were reported were more mechanical in nature, and some UFOs people didn't even know how to classify because they were so strange. They were reported flying erratically in ways not possible from planes or helicopters. A 44-year-old fisherman named Manuel João de Oliveira Filho would say of one of his early encounters that he saw what looked like an umbrella-shaped object hovering 13 feet off of the ground. It then shot a vivid white light into the ground and moved away silently. A carpenter named...
You know what? I've also heard arguments where people are like, oh, why do these UFOs always act like the UFOs in movies? But where do you think the movies got it from? Where do you think this idea of UFOs came from? Maybe it came from real life experiences. Imagine seeing a bear on TV and being like, oh, why do all bears in nature look like the bears on TV? It's because is art an imitation of life, or is life an imitation of art? I don't know if that sounded deep or not. I'm sorry.
Named João Dias Costa and a fisherman named João de Cruz Silva reported seeing luminous spheres that would fly and occasionally swoop down close to the ground. A resident named Sebastião Wernick Miranda was quoted as saying, "I was there with my wife Palmira in front of the church on the seafront when at about 8 p.m. we saw an intensely vivid orangish light coming from the sea towards the town. As it approached, it climbed and then moving rapidly vanished towards the inner part of the island."
I just want to show you something else. Them talking about how the UFOs came from the sea and whatever, it kind of looks like this. Let me get a clear look. Back in 2008, 2007, 2008, 2009, this guy would always see this UFO. I don't even remember where this is, probably somewhere in Turkey, but it would look something like this. Look at this. Look at that. I swear to God. Hold on, let's see it when it's in the daylight. And then it starts beaming. Is there a more clear image? Well, look, I imagine the UFO looks something like this. You see this guy fishing here, and then the UFO is in the back over there. It makes you think,
At first, these UFOs seemed odd, but harmless, and the townsfolk were intrigued. But soon, the UFOs would take on a different nature. Pretty soon, these UFOs began to focus their attention on the residents of Colares, and began harming them on the streets and even in their homes. Some of the common...
These guys are menaces! They're doing drive-bys in their UFOs! That's some crazy shit.
Common things these UFOs allegedly began doing to people was stunning them, leaving them paralyzed, shooting light beam rays at them.
Why would they do that? That's just mean. They're just gonna casually paralyze us. But that's what makes you think. Like, I mean, we humans are no different. You know, like we do some weird shit like that all the time. We could go to the Sahara Desert or the savannah, and then we'll just randomly tranquilize animals simply because we can. Or we're too sturdy. Maybe that's what they're doing to us too. I don't know.
Rays at them that hurt and burnt the victims. Some reported being pricked and feeling like something was inserted into them. And lastly, some reported that it felt like these UFOs were sucking their blood. This earned them the nickname Chupa Chupa, which translates to suck suck in Portuguese. Some victim accounts are as follows. 49-year-old resident barber Carlos Cardoza de Paula reported, "Everybody else was asleep. I was just still having my last smoke when suddenly a ball of fire entered our house and up near the ridgepole. It started shooting around and around the room and then finally came right close to my hammock."
The deeper you dive down this rabbit hole, the more like dots start connecting. I wish I had like one of those boards where I can like put up all the picture frames and then I can connect all the dots together and look like the lunatic conspiracy theorist. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, alright? I just believe in aliens. But a lot of these cases, I count like similar stuff happening. Like they're all, it all connects. Like it's the same story over and over in different countries, in different places that's happened to different people. It's all the same thing.
It ran up my right leg as far as the knee without touching my skin. I watched with much curiosity as it then moved across to the other leg. Then I started to feel feeble and sleepy. My cigarette fell from my hand and I came to and let out a yell. The fireball quickly vanished and everybody woke up. I think it had been searching for a vein in my body but didn't manage to do so. As its brightness grew, I felt a sort of heat coming from it. 44-year-old farmer Manuel Matos de Souza would say, "I was sleeping. It was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, on Tuesday, when through the gaps in the shack wall over the door I saw that rays of bright light penetrated with great intensity. I got up, and opening the door, I saw a strange object standing 5 meters more or less from me. Inside, a couple laughing out loud as if they were making fun. Even chained by the red rays that reached me, I quickly went into the house picking up my shotgun. I pointed towards the ship, pulled the trigger, but to my surprise..."
Damn, this guy was ready for all the smoke. He had the shotgun ready and everything. Goddamn.
Fire. At this point, the right side of my body started to go numb. That was when I screamed for my wife and my children, with panic in the house. Meanwhile, the device disappeared without making a noise, disappearing into the sky. Aurora Fernandez, 18 years old at the time, stated that she was attacked in her home at night by a cold, strong wind and felt a terrible fear as if she were being enveloped by a strange force. She said, "I was terrified. I called my mother, who was already asleep like the rest of my family in the house, but before my mom arrived, a strong red light surrounded me and left me paralyzed. At the same time, I felt very fine punctures in my breast. Then I fell to the ground and passed out." Her mother reported seeing a colorless liquid that smelled like ether oozing from her puncture wounds. The city of Colares had only one physician, Dr. Valelde Cecim Carvalho. She initially thought that the town was experiencing a mass hysteria when her office began to be overrun with people claiming injuries from UFOs. She was perplexed at the real injury.
Imagine that. You're the only doctor in town, and obviously you think there's like some sort of natural occurrence that's happening because all these people are coming with symptoms, only for this to happen.
Injuries she would observe in the patients coming in. She took blood samples and concluded that the victim suffered from generalized hypothermia, chronic headaches, burnings, intense heat, nausea, tremors in the body, giddiness, and often presented small orifices in the skin where they were hit by the rays. She wrote, all of them had suffered lesions to the face or the thoracic area. Though she couldn't explain the real-world injuries, she still remained skeptical of the UFO stories until eventually she had her own encounter. On her way home from the clinic one afternoon, she saw a ship that she described as cylindrical in shape hovering about 100 feet above her. The ship began to make erratic movements and then disappeared in an instant. This encounter confirmed to her the unfortunate reality that these UFOs people were...
She got lucky though, she didn't get punctured or anything or like burned.
People were reporting were real. Dr. Valelde stated that after 60 days of daily occurrences and 120 cases, she started to produce reports for the Brazilian Executive Health Secretariat, or CESPA. However, as reported to the Pada newspaper, she was prohibited by CESPA from admitting that something strange was happening.
That's strange, huh? Huh? People in at the authority trying to silence people, huh? It's a little sus.
Many people continued to come to her clinic with injuries, and eventually 2 women would die. One woman, after being attacked by the lights, was immediately sent to the larger hospital in Belém, as she was in a critical state upon arrival. 5 days later, another patient arrived completely rigid or unable to move in the back seat of a squad car. The patient's legs were hanging out of the car door because she could not bend them. Her whole body was still, and she gasped for air, but...
Sorry, I don't know why. I'm sorry, I'm bad. I don't know why I laughed at that. Not funny.
But she did not have a fever and did not vomit. The very inflexible woman was in a dire state medically, and Dr. Carvalho sent her to the city hospital. Dr. Carvalho received the medical papers and the certificates of death from the Medical Institute legal director, Renato Chavez, which stated both women had died of a stroke. After months of increasing frequency of encounters and the increasing intensity of harm, the residents of Colares were soon in a panic. Ana Celia Oliveira, now a school teacher, was 6.
It's a little strange, huh? It's happening to all these people, and now the entire village is panicking. Watch what happens next.
Teacher was 6 years old at the time of these events. She would say, people and animals were attacked. There was no food. Terrible lack of food. No one was fishing. People would not go out of their vegetable gardens for crops. Everybody tried to go around in large groups. Nobody wanted to be left alone.
these UFOs were actually menaces. Like they were like terrorizing this village.
All of Colares stopped. At 6 o'clock it got dark and we would go to sleep. Groups of as many as 50 to 60 women and children would get together in one house. The men would stay awake all night. The objects began to be seen around the greater Para area. People saw several strange objects of varying dimensions, including cases involving sightings of unidentified underwater objects, entering or exiting the waters along the coast. Several cases arose, according to several witnesses, where the UFOs made ceilings, walls of houses, vehicles, and other solid objects invisible. Often, the power would go out in the entire town when a UFO would fly nearby. Another disturbing aspect of these UFOs is that over time they seem to be interested in women more than men, with 3/4 of those attacked being female, mostly younger.
Are aliens freaky?
The local priest, Father Alfredo de la O, would also have his own encounter and began to patrol the streets while armed with the locals. They reported that when they would shoot their weapons at the UFOs, their guns suddenly would not work. With encounters like these occurring in other parts of the state of Para as well, soon the local newspapers began covering these events.
And this was reported in the papers. Something was going on here.
Regarding the attacking UFOs, the mayor of Colares, Alfredo Bastos Fio, would say, "Yes, indeed I can tell you, there isn't a moment of peace. The people are terrified by that Chupa Chupa affair. I even managed to see one of the injured victims myself, Dona Mirota, a lady who was receiving medical treatment at the health clinic." In October, the mayor of the nearby city, Vigia, would have his own encounter as well. The Balem newspaper, Provincia do Para, reported that at 6:45 in the evening of October 18, 1977, Vigia Mayor Jose Soyero was at home talking to his wife when he heard shouts in the streets about a strange object crossing the sky at great speed and giving off yellow light. He ran to a window in time to catch a glimpse as it passed over an island east of the town, going toward the nearby village of San Antonio do Ubintaba. Vigia itself had plunged into darkness a few minutes earlier as the electricity failed and the people were alarmed. After the object is
Even the mayor. Well, I guess this is he was the mayor of a different city or of different town nearby, but that's crazy. This is the first part. This is only the first part because in the second part, I think the military gets involved and they start having their own encounters. If you want to watch the entire thing, go check out Red Panda Koala. It's a 3-part series, like I said, and it's actually really interesting because in the second and third part, things get spicy, I swear. But the fact that this happened to an entire village and to the point where they were actually like scared, you know, all the residents were terrified and they were all just had to stay as a group and they were still getting terrorized. It's how do you disprove that? I mean, maybe it was something else, but either way, something definitely strange happened here. Let me know if you want to see more UFO stuff because I'm really interested in this topic. There's actually a hearing that's going to happen on the 13th of November soon. Today's the 30th. But I am interested in to see where this entire story leads because this is just one part of a bigger picture. This whole UFO thing is pretty nuts the more you look into it. Like and subscribe.